continuing the track of places I wasn't anticipating to come to again this season, I'm at Cedar Point. Last week I decided to make a pivot when I originally was going to come here last week, but I was going to I went to Holiday World. Fantastic time there. They basically ran the park for 5 hours, did a bunch of night rides, including the Voyage. That's the best night ride in the world. Can't tell me otherwise. And the main reason I made that pivot was just because it was so busy. Last week was warm, and also I was going to go on a Friday. Everything was like a 2-hour wait. It was completely packed. But decided, you know what? Is it worth it to drive all the way from Cincinnati to get here when the park's open from 5 to midnight? I'm not staying here until midnight. I don't want to get home that late. But you get the idea. Basically, we're going to come here, enjoy the darkness, enjoy the rides, and just really get on some of my favorite roller coasters in the world. Had a blast last time at Holiday World, like I said, but today's a Thursday, and I'm hoping with it being a Thursday, it's pretty quiet since the park's only partially open for the day. So first things first, let's get over Millennium Force to get our first ride of the day on there. To say, don't let the bright sunshiny day deceive you. It's only about 2 hours away until we're at sunset, and I'm excited to get some night rides. I haven't done a night ride on Maverick in ages, especially after getting a bunch this time of year for like Holiday World and doing them at Kings Island. I really am curious, like, what are the night rides like here? I didn't film this time, but about a month ago I did come here with my best friend, and we did get a night ride on Millennium Force. That was amazing. That is really one of the best. It's just pitch black against with the lake right there, and several night rides on Magnum. But what's Maverick like? And also, I really want to see what Steel Vengeance is like, because I did do that when I first came up here for my first time back in 9 years on that trip in 2022. I remember the night ride's really good, but I just don't remember much about it. So I'm hoping to get on a ride later this evening. All right, up first, getting on to Millennium Force for not quite a sunset ride, but pretty close. It seems to be a tradition that whenever I start a day at Cedar Point, I always go on Millennium Force first. That almost always seems to be the case. She's running, honestly, a little slow right now, but that's to be expected. It's like 60 degrees out right now. I was on the first train of the day for the yellow train, so it was running a little slow, but you know what? It's still a fantastic coaster nonetheless. When it is really hauling, it gives a phenomenal ride. I will have to admit, it has fallen from grace over the past couple of years. 2 years ago, it was my #1 coaster. Right now, it's not even my top 10. It's still at number 12. I've just ridden a lot of fantastic coasters out there that get a little bit higher on there and everything, but man, I still love it. It is always a phenomenal ride every time I ride it. A trip to Cedar Point is not complete without at least one ride on that thing. But next, I'm hoping to get in line for Steel Vengeance, which is my #1 coaster right now. So let's see if I can get over there really quick. Of course, the big announcement last month with Siren's Curse, a Vekoma Tilt coaster coming here. Me and everybody did not see that one coming for sure. So it's gonna be a nice, pleasant addition to this park, where for most people, I mean, I'll talk a little bit more about Top Thrill 2 in a little bit, but it's going to be like, for most people, they'll have 2 new coasters next year and everything, but I don't know. I'm super excited. It's going to be not only the tilt, I think it's going to be amazing, but I think the rest of the layout looks incredible as well. I'll talk more about that in the video, looking forward more till everything opening up in 2025. So the park officially opens. Best advice, head straight to Steel Vengeance. Waited maybe 10 minutes for it. It's still only like a half hour right now. Everyone kind of beelines to it, but that is still the best ride in the world. Even when it's kind of cold and it wasn't running as fast as I've been on it before, it's still king. It's incredible. The amount of airtime on that sucker, it just never ends. Just constantly trying to eject you from the train. It's incredible. I know I've just already said that, but wow. So I'm hoping to get at least one more ride later today on that one. But next, I think we're gonna go over to Maverick for it, which is posting about a half-hour wait right now. I think I'm gonna take advantage of that before getting some dinner. So let's go ahead and enjoy this Maverick, which is also another incredible ride. This park is so stacked. Change of plans, that line's gotten a little bit long there. So if I'm gonna only get one ride on that thing, I'm gonna do it at night. I want a night ride on that sucker, so let's go get some food. I know I've said it many times, but man, the food here is so much better than it used to be. Just ate at Backbeat Q, and it's pretty solid barbecue. Look, it's nothing spectacular like I mean, I was just in Austin, Texas, and had Franklin's, which is probably the best brisket on the planet. But is it a solid brisket to get inside the middle of an amusement park? Yeah, it really is. So right now, probably gonna hit up Maverick a little bit later, but I think Gatekeeper's calling my name at the front of the park. The definite elephant in the room for the season is with Top Thrill 2. And my 2 cents on that is, obviously, it sucks that it happened. Had no idea how lucky I was to get onto Top Thrill 2 3 times right on opening weekend. I definitely think that Zampro is going to figure it out. It's just a matter of, they probably came up with a solution. It's just like, well, the reality is, it can't be finished by and re-engineered by the end of the season. So during the off season, I think they're going to get it figured out. I did see that yesterday. It's mid-October right now, that it was testing, so that's a good sign. But I can't wait to get back on that thing because, man, it's a top 10 ride. That thing's incredible. It's pretty cool that you could go and buy a piece of the Heartline roll from Maverick that was never utilized. It was found in a field in Ohio, just probably not too terribly far from here, sometime last year or the year before, and then Cedar Point must have bought it back and decided that they're gonna cut it up. I wish I could had enough money to justify spending $300 on something that's kind of, you know, a nice trophy, but that's a little steep for even myself. But you know what? It's pretty cool. I'm sure it would make a cool collectible to somebody. I always seem to be coming back to Gatekeeper. Is it the best ride in the park? Not even close. But honestly, it always has a pretty short wait, and I always really enjoy it. The view and going through the keyholes makes it well worth it. So let's get in line. Gatekeeper is a pretty awesome night ride. Not pitch black like a lot of great night rides would be. I mean, Thunderbird's a much better night ride because it is pitch black, but what makes it really fun is just the way it's lit up. It kind of reminds me of Orion in a way. Supports are lit up, and then you get to go through the keyholes, and you can truly see those. Fun night ride, and plus, the way the full moon was on the lake looked awesome. But probably heading back to the back of the park now. Might get on Maverick to get that night ride. Maybe check out Steel Vengeance. I don't know. Just gonna play it by ear, which is kind of the whole point of today. Just get on those fun night rides and everything.
See your face?
Change of plans. Magnum literally just opened. So let's go get a ride on Magnum. Man, Magnum's something else. It's I got a ride on the Magic Seat, and it didn't punish my legs as much as I thought it would. But man, I've definitely had more beating rides in the past, but it still is it packs such a punch, man. It's so good. I love that ride. I can understand why some people don't. It's far from the smoothest thing out there, but it usually has a pretty short wait, and I always have a blast riding that sucker. I think it's about time to get that night ride on Maverick. I know it's probably gonna be a long wait, but screw it. I really want to get that ride, so let's go check it out. Changing plans. I seem to be doing that a lot. It looks like Steel Vengeance has a pretty short wait right now, so let's get that night ride. All right, Steel Vengeance at night. Not surprising, it's amazing. It's more amazing because of the roller coaster itself rather than it being a night ride, because it's really well lit. Going through the structure when it's all lit up is really, really cool though. Not much that is dark, but it's, man, that thing is definitely going much faster than it was before. Earlier today, it's warmed up even though it's gotten colder. But oh, what a killer ride, man. All right, now finally, let's get to Maverick. All right, Maverick, that is, not surprising, pretty elite night ride. Not super dark, but it's still really cool. They do have that haunt going on in the middle, so like when I rode Millennium Force earlier, you've got that fog that you're blasting through, which is really cool. Obviously, only a certain time of year you get that, but what a killer ride. Maverick is fantastic. All right, got one more last ride on Steel Vengeance, but I gotta head out because I still gotta drive all the way back home to Cincinnati. It's almost 11 o'clock. It's gonna be a long ride home, but you know what, totally worth it. Definitely doing this trip. There really wasn't that many crowds here. It wasn't walk-on, so to speak, but it was definitely not busy, which is really, really great. So obviously, you know, most of the time you'd have to buy fast lane to get on Steel Vengeance 3 times in one day, plus everything else I got to do as well. Wish I had more time, but you know what, I'm glad I was able to squeeze this in. Got one more last trip to Cedar Point in for this season. Like always, I'm gonna miss this park, man. Won't see it again until next season, but we'll have our Vekoma tilt coaster for next year, and plus fingers crossed on getting Top Thrill 2 back up and running like the way it should be. Good night, everyone. If you enjoy content like this, make sure you subscribe to Park Productions to see more fun stuff like vlogs, rankings, and checking out many different things throughout the theme park industry. Have a good night, everyone.